Squad, back on another video. I'm Reckless.
I'm Chris.
We got Tim Ballard and Donald Trump. This is more so a talk, about political views, as well as the movie Sound of Freedom and whatnot. You feel me? Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe. Definitely appreciate everybody tuning in, watching, and reaction. If you haven't seen the post on Communities tab, baby shower tomorrow, so videos will not be dropped. Baby registries from Amazon and Target is in the link description down below, as well as on that Communities tab post if y'all, you feel me, are willing to, send gifts for baby love. But definitely appreciate everybody tuning in. You already know. Let's get a reaction.
Hey everybody, welcome to a very special episode of the Tim Ballard Podcast. Here we are at one of the top golf club in the nation at Bedminster, here with the 45th President of the United States, Mr. Donald Trump.
Thank
Mr.
you
President,
very much.
thank you.
Well, thank you.
For being our guest.
We just saw a great movie and unbelievable. And Jim, you were really incredible.
Thank you.
And you in real life were really incredible. So I want to thank you on behalf of a lot of people. Fantastic.
See, and I do got to say before they start too, like before, talk about everything, this is one of the things that you see, obviously, don't really know what it is, don't really know if it is an interview with Joe Biden, but this is the type of stuff right here. You have something that's not so much of a political thing. It's more of like, I guess you can say, we're human, so it's more so not human trafficking, etc. It's really not so much, I would say, political. I wouldn't put it in that category, but I feel like as the President of the United States, if you're taking stuff seriously, you would try to get that out as much as you can of what's happening around and stuff like that.
In this situation,
Exactly.
Good job.
Thank you. What was your favorite scene of the film?
I think the start, the ending, and maybe the result was what I liked. That was a great result. That was a hard-earned result, though. The two young children, you have thousands and hundreds of thousands out there. It's so sad to see.
Yeah.
But it was really something very special. It's been a great success, the movie, and now I see why.
Well, thank you so much. There's a scene in the film that at the southern border at the port of entry.
Yeah.
They filmed that scene when the van comes across. We get the little boy out of there. That's a very true story. They filmed on location at the Calexico, California East Port of Entry. And when they filmed this, we weren't struggling as we are today. It's almost like God waited for the right time to drop this because the whole film kicks off with kids being trafficked into the United States. What's your perspective on the border now and where it was during your administration?
So as you know, the border was very successful, relatively speaking at least. It was the most successful it's ever been. It's incredibly bad right now. It's worse. You can magnify it times 10 or 12 times, they say. It's so sad to see what's happened. And that includes trafficking, it includes drugs, it includes everything. People coming in from all over the world, they're pouring into our country. They're coming from prisons, they're coming from mental institutions, they're terrorists. We have a terrible group of people running our country, and it's never been like this. The border's never been worse. You guys would understand that as well as I would. The border's never been more open. And when you have open borders like that, you have trafficking at a level that you've never seen before. So much different than when you and I previously met. And very sad to see it's gone so bad. We'll turn it around, but it's really very terrible to see.
So when you were in charge of the border, I remember them saying that your policies were both racist, no compassion from President Trump on these foreign children. And I look today and I'm in awe because the only compassionate policy is enforcement.
Yeah.
These children, Jim, what you were telling me you saw the
and I feel like that's something that's in a way should have been, I feel like a lot of people, like what he just said, people looking at him a different way on why the whole border thing, but now we looking at this situation like, or they looking at this situation like, dang, well, I can actually see why now we talking about different things about the border. And
it was important.
Exactly.
Testimony of Miss Rodas, right, from Health and Human Services.
April 26th.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Well, she gave her testimony.
Whistleblower, right?
Oh, yeah. And, she's submitted evidence as well. And the next day in the media, it wasn't even covered. like it never happened. I think the media is responsible as well as ignoring the south border. We don't have a country without a border.
Yeah. 85,000, Mr. President, 85,000 unaccompanied minors during the Joe Biden administration showed up and were released into the belly of the United States, which is the #1 consumer of child exploitation material in the world. No background checks. The kids are released to whoever. It's more difficult to adopt a cat from a shelter than it is to go get a kid out of Health and Human Services. How do we fix
That's
this
wild.
when you're back in?
Well, you need the policy, number one. You have to close up the borders, and we let people in when they go through a legal process. And we had that working really well. If they would have done nothing, the borders were just getting stronger and stronger, and from a human trafficking standpoint. And we find mostly women, but children very big also. But it's women and children. Nobody's seen like, I think I can say this, that nobody's ever seen it like it is today. And 3 years ago, we had it down to a level that they hadn't seen for many, many decades. It was the lowest it's been, I think, in recorded history. And now it's probably the worst it's ever been. Nobody's ever seen anything like what's happening in our country and to our country right now.
Exactly.
Now
And
you-
I feel like a lot of that stuff obviously has happened, in the past. Somebody had commented on a video, it was a Sound of Freedom video, and somebody was, obviously being smart and, not smart, but smart.
Yeah.
And was basically like, oh, well, this has been going on for years. They just now talking about this. This is old news. Now, I look at things like you got to start somewhere. So regardless of if it's in the past or not, you will want to get those things out as much as you can so people are aware of what's going on around. And I feel like that's
Yeah,
most
help.
important. Yeah, exactly. And on top of that, it's happening even worse than what it was.
In the past, yeah.
Exactly.
Now, you had implemented a policy known in the media as Remain in Mexico.
Yeah.
I think within the first week of Biden coming in, he abolished Remain in Mexico. What was that, and what were the effects of Joe Biden?
Well, we had a lot of things, Tim. We had walls that were going up at a level that were really rapidly going. We took about 2 years to go through all the courts. We had 11 major court cases. I won all of those cases, and we started building the wall. That delayed it. We started building the wall. We actually took the military at it. The military gave us the money at my demand, I guess you'd have to say, at my demand. And because I considered it like an invasion, I called this an invasion of our country. And very bad for the people coming in, very bad for just about everybody. So we built hundreds of miles of wall. We renovated a lot, too. And we did a real job. And then we had another 200 miles that we were going to build, which is far more than I anticipated building. But we had areas that were weak, and we built the wall for it. And all they had to do was install it. Could have been done in about 3 weeks. And they didn't want to do that. They want to have open borders, and open borders are very dangerous. And as Jim said, when you have open borders and bad elections and a lot of other things, but when you have open borders, you just don't have a country, and that's what we have right now.
I never understood
It all makes sense.
how the wall got politicized. I spent 10 years on that board, as you saw in the film.
Right?
And the Clinton administration built as much of the wall as anyone else had, because we all understood. There was a time when we understood that walls meant security equaled children get rescued. It's their last hope that they might get rescued by trained individuals who the traffickers are forced to take them to that port of entry. And it's so sad that they've politicized this. Why do you think? It's obvious. I've testified before Congress. I testified before then Senator Kamala Harris, who's now the border czar. Mm-hmm. And I don't think they can claim ignorance. They know what's happening. These children are being abused and brought in. Why do they want open borders? What do they get out of this?
Well, nobody
That's a question that I was about to ask, but I'm
Yeah,
glad that we're
'cause-
watching this so we know. What the
Yeah,
answer
more
is.
insight, yeah.
understand that because it's so obvious. I always was saying when I was campaigning in 2016 and in 2020, two things that work: wheels and walls. They'll never change. You can wheel and a wall. They can be ancient. It doesn't matter. They'll have new forms of computer every week. You come up with a great computer system, and it's obsolete in about 2 weeks. But wheels and walls, and they know the walls work, and they have worked. And we kept. If we didn't have the walls, we wouldn't have had the record-setting success that we had. I guess there's only one reason. You say, what could it be? Why would they want to have open borders? Why would they not want to complete everything? And maybe they hate our country. Maybe they have ideas for the country that are a lot different than what they should be. But what they've done on the southern border and the borders generally coming into our country, it's not acceptable. And the people of our country aren't going to allow it.
It's an amazing thing, and I can tell you this. I love the story of Sound of Freedom because you see real children from Central America, and I can tell you this, that with your policies and enforcement, the traffickers were de-incentivized from taking children like
Sure.
Miguel and Rocio, because why take them if they have to remain in Mexico?
Yeah.
Why take them if the walls pose too big of a risk for them to get the kids in? So your policies, and the world needs to understand this, rescued, in my professional opinion, and mine is a professional one, hundreds of thousands or more children were rescued from a life of being kidnapped, trafficked, raped, and it's that simple, that policies really can save children, and it's devastating to see what's happening. Another way I think that you saved a lot of children that people don't talk about is, because we're seeing the results now of what you did, you put 3 people on the bench. Mm-hmm. Tell me about those 3 and why you chose them.
Well, we have 3 great Supreme Court justices, and they have made tremendous decisions over the last period of time, especially over the last 2 weeks, actually, and having to do not just with what we talk about, but education. As you know, now the most qualified people get into the colleges. It's very discriminatory the other way. It's actually the opposite of what people had originally thought. But now, if you get the great marks and the great scores and everything else, you get into the college. You're not left behind for somebody else that doesn't have the same talent or work or whatever it may be. So that was a big decision, but we have had a lot of decisions over the last 2 months that have been amazing, including having to do with religious liberty, which I know affects you too very much. But the border itself is got to be it's got to be strengthened. We're losing our country. I think you'll have maybe close to 15 million people over the last 2 years. 15 million. I think that's the real number. You know, they say 2 million and 3 million and 4 million. I think it's going to be close to 15 million people having poured into our country. We have no idea where they come from.
Between the overturning of Hobbs, of Roe versus Wade, and the Hobbs decision, which wouldn't have happened without your appointments, and with the border enforcement, which is we know has rescued countless children. I mean, how does it feel to have gone in and in 4 short years really rescued what could be millions of children? How does that feel? And the other question, how does it feel to have been indicted unfairly twice, maybe a 3rd time?
Could be 4th.
Yeah, and it's 4th right now.
He said yeah.
Probably for doing these things, right? I mean, I don't know why else they're doing it.
It could be that. I mean, it could be a lot of things. It's look, we believe in.
But that's what I'm saying though. Like, why wouldn't people want? Why wouldn't people want the best for America?
Yeah.
Instead of having somebody in office that doesn't, that wants to hide things, wants to lie about things, wants to put stuff behind it.
Instead, they want Joe instead of Trump.
That's crazy. I don't understand that. And I've been trying to understand that. Like, why would you want stuff hidden? Like, you as an American,
So I feel like
citizen.
Yeah, people need to do more research. That's because we didn't know a lot of this stuff. So
At all.
now that like we know it, and like I'll even say like I didn't really know a lot about Trump. What I seen on social media, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't like him. That's what I used to say. But now like I see, and I'm like, oh yeah.
And I feel like a lot of other people think the way that you thought.
Yeah.
Even when I was, coming up and I would hear about politics and stuff like that, I would always laugh. It wasn't that I didn't like Trump or anything like that. I don't even ever think I said that or anything. I don't remember if I said anything like that, but I didn't know anything about it. So yeah. I was like, I don't really know. But then he would say stuff, or people would say he said stuff. He said.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, the whole social media thing. Like that's what we.
And it had in my head like, dang, he really said that. Like, what is he on? Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I don't think but other than that, like, you would hear that a lot, and then like you said, reacting and coming to it, like you see what's going on and what's going, and
that's why I feel like people need to watch these, do their research. So
watch, read.
Yeah, anything.
All
watch.
of that.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can't watch all news, but the good news.
Facts.
Borders.
Or it's not even just watching the good news or anything. It's just the simple fact of just watching everything, a situation, and seeing everything about
Yeah.
that situation, and then
every
moving and seeing.
every party, not just
Yeah.
one side.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
History in itself.
Yeah, that too.
Believe in all of the things we've been discussing tonight, and it's for a lot of reasons, but the people of the country get it, and we're leading by so much. I mean, I've never had popularity like this because there's just a large group of people, far greater than 50%, I can tell you that, and you people know that better than anybody. When you see what they've done in a short period of time to Budweiser, that tells you a little bit about some of the people that we're talking about, perhaps, what they did, and probably one of the worst abuses of a company that anyone's ever seen. That had to be the dumbest commercial ever made, but I think they lost hundreds of billions of dollars of value. It's the craziest thing. And the person that did it is going around now complaining about they didn't treat her well. They didn't treat her well, or him well, or her well. I'm not sure exactly how to define it. And it's incredible. No, there's a great group of people in this country, a vast, vast majority that understand what you're about, understand what you did is so great, and that's why your movie is such a big success. It's an incredible movie.
And
It's
we
really
still haven't seen the movie.
Yeah.
Still gotta watch the movie.
Soon.
Hearing everything about it, but still haven't seen the
Yeah.
movie. Hopefully, you can watch it tonight.
I mean, everything's entertainment. This is much more than entertainment. This is knowledge that can lead to something very important, because it is bad out there. It's nasty out there when you think. I'm watching some of those scenes in the movie, and I don't know, I probably, you would know better than anybody. Do they capture them? Is it actually worse in real life? Or is it actually better in real life? It's probably as bad as it looks. It's
as
probably
bad.
even worse.
It's as bad or worse, I can
Yeah.
promise that.
Amazing.
Everything you see happen to those kids in that movie happened to those kids that
Yeah.
they depict in that movie.
Wow.
So do you think these indictments have hurt you at all? Because it seems like every time it happens, your numbers go up.
Well, they're fake, and people understand that. We've done a great job, and a lot of it is, as you say, we've done things that they don't want. There's a radical.
But it's saving kids, what you've done. That's
Yeah,
what I don't understand.
We've done that, but we've done a lot of other things, and having to do many things. Some people don't like to see that. It's hard to believe, which means probably they just don't want to see our country be great again. We have a very simple phrase: "Make America Great Again," or even "America First," and numerous phrases. They're all boil down to the same thing, but it really is. It's pretty amazing when you see what's happening in our country right now. Our country's going to hell, and we have to stop it. They have a lot of bad ideas going, not only on the border, not only in terms of
And
traffic.
I feel like that's more towards, people not even thinking what we was just talking about with research. And on top of having a president in office right now that literally can't even remember to eat breakfast in the morning or lunch or dinner. So it's literally like, you have a president that, first of all, to me, with the stuff that I've been seeing, and people are going to say, oh, you believe in the whole conspiracy, and he's being controlled. That's a president that's being controlled.
Yeah,
I honestly
since that
think that
video-
he's controlled by, y'all know who,
Yeah.
and y'all know who. And that's just what it is, I feel like,
Yeah, I believe that. I strongly believe that now.
yeah,
Seeing that.
facts.
Trafficking, which is a big deal. But in just about every other thing they're doing, their ideas are bad, their policy is bad.
I want to bring in a special guest as we close out here, because we have a unique opportunity. I think we might have in this room right now the next president of the United States and the next president of Mexico. It might be in this room. Eduardo Verástegui, who's also the producer of Sound of Freedom, is contemplating a run. Come up here, hermano. I want to know.
Hermano.
I want to know what you two, if you in 2024, if you both win this, assuming you make the decision to run and win, what will you do for America and Mexico? We've talked a lot about the board. There's a lot of issues we share in common. What would you do? And what would you do, and what would you want to work with President Trump?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Mr. President, for opening the door of your house to screen the movie Sound of Freedom.
Oh, thank you
We
very
are
much.
very grateful to you. We're very grateful for everything you have done for life. You are the most amazing leader around the world, leading by example, defending life.
And that's dope to
Yeah.
telling you. Damn, allergies serious. Serious. Having them all day. I didn't think I was gonna sneeze though. But anyways, the fact that he says, you know what I'm saying, in the world, it's pretty lit.
I was gonna say, yeah, him coming there and talking to him like face to face is lit too.
Yeah, most amazing leader around the world, leading by example, defending life, human life.
Thank you.
I'm not a politician, I'm an outsider, but you inspire me to at least think about running for president. I'm still thinking about it, I'm praying about it, I'm asking the people of Mexico to pray for me. I'm fasting, I'm praying, because I want to do God's will. But if the answer is yes, you will know very soon. But if the answer is yes, together we're stronger. We are not just neighbors, we're brothers and sisters. When the good people of Mexico and the good people of America meet, sound of freedom happens. We save lives. When the bad people of Mexico and the bad people of America meet, child trafficking happens. Drugs, cartels, cancer, death, the culture of death. We represent the culture of life. Together, we can win. Let's make America and Mexico great together. Let's make America and Mexico free again.
That's dope.
Eduardo, for the last question.
That's dope. I feel like that's the most realist. Like I wasn't
Yeah.
even expecting him to come up here, but that's like one of the realest things. Like a lot of stuff that's going on between United States and Mexico, you know, over the years and went down, you know, and for him to come up there like, hey, we can make this work. We can make this.
Yeah, that was genuine.
That's dope.
I want to let you ask, hypothetically, if you were president right now and you're looking at the president-elect in 2024, what's the question you would ask President Trump, your neighbor president?
How can we end child trafficking and how can we end drugs? Because there's a demand, there's a supply. How can we kill the demand and the supply together?
So we make up the southern border. And when we close that southern border, that's the number one place in terms of drugs and in terms of child trafficking. And if we work together with Mexico, as I've been working with Mexico, I worked with Mexico, but now there's no real relationship to what's happening with trafficking or drugs. But if we work together, we'll create a border that will make it very, very difficult for anybody in terms of trafficking, drugs, people coming in that maybe shouldn't be there. You know, many people come across and they think it's going to be wonderful, and good people, and they die trying to come across. It's a horrible thing that's happening. So we'd work with Mexico and really create a real border, and that would do a lot for trafficking and a lot for stopping the drugs.
Excellent. Thank you guys so much, Mr. President.
Thank you.
We're honored to be here. Thank you for.
I was about to say, I think Tim Ballard was the most geeked out of this whole interview. You can tell,
Yeah.
like, on his face, like, how happy he is just to see President Trump, you know, actually talking. And then I didn't get his name, but, you know, them to come together and to have, you know, some type of understanding and trying to get a better relationship between the, you know, the two countries.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's pretty dope to do, honestly.
Yeah.
opening your
I
home
wasn't
again,
expecting this.
and we hope together we can make it a better world. So thank you so much, and thank you. And we'll be back next time with the Tim Ballard.
Yeah, that's dope though. I ain't gonna cap. That's definitely dope.
Yeah, that was nice.
This is definitely something that is something that, you know,
I'm glad we
I'd like to
watched it.
see. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
definitely a dope video. Let me know y'all thoughts down in the comments. Definitely appreciate y'all tuning in, watching this reaction. Catch y'all next one.